whose brother was shot to death by a Dallas police officer, forgiving his brother's killer and embracing her.
If you truly are sorry, I know I can speak for myself. I forgive you. And I know if you go to God and ask Him, He will forgive you. And I don't think anyone could say it. Again, I'm speaking for myself, not even bad for my family. But I love you just like anyone else. And I'm not gonna say I hope you rot and die just like my brother did, but I personally want the best for you. And I wasn't gonna ever say this in front of my family or anyone, but I don't even want you to go to jail. I want the
Barbershop Talk, Minnesota. That is how you open a show. Welcome to October 5th, Saturday. This is Barbershop Talk, South Minnesota. Had to show this video. This is the greatest video clip of the year. What grace this young man had. If you didn't know, his brother was killed by a cop. She was convicted of killing his brother, and then she was sentenced to 10 years. This young man is on the stand forgiving the woman that killed his brother, or the cop that killed his brother.
And I don't wish anything bad on you. I don't know if this is possible, but can I give her a hug, please? Please?
Yes.
That, my friends, is what America is all about. That is what family, friends, community, God, that's what it's all about right there. Forgiveness and grace. Even though this cop did a horrible thing, and she will be going to prison for that. So welcome to Barbershop Talk. We're going to get into it. Get ready. Barbershop Talking again. It is Saturday, October 5th. We have Mayor Kim Norton here today, but as we continue, make sure you remember that video. If you weren't inspired by that video, please be inspired. That is what it's all about. But that aside, we want to get you going here today on our show. We're in Studio 2 for the first part of our show, and then we'll see you over in Studio 1 at the Barbershop. Cool thing about grassroots media is you can do your studio anywhere. And so we're in Studio 2 here today to get started, my apartment. So let's get you started on what's going on in the neighborhood. Guess what? The Minnesota Gophers football, they're going up against the Fighting Illini at 2:30 today. Get out and support your Golden Gophers so they can be great in football, hopefully. And then a bigger game here, many would say the Minnesota Twinkies are going up against the Yankees for Game 2 of their playoff series. They lost last night, 4 p.m. Get behind your Twinkies so they can get that big W. All right. What else is going on? On October 8th, there is a People of Color Career Fair. October 8th, up in the Twin Cities. It will be at the Minneapolis Convention Center, October 8th. What else is going on? Oh, October, beautiful fall October. Did you know October is Pastoral Appreciation Month? And for us, given our African American communities and some of our minority communities, the church has been a foundation for history for years. And so we want to make sure that we say thank you to all of our pastors, every pastor in the community, to be honest with you. For certain our African American pastors, and I may miss some pastors here today, I will grant you that, but if you can get their names into me, we'll send out a thank you to them. But certainly we want to say thank you to some of the folks that have been doing it for a long, long time. That being Pastor Andre Crockett, our Andre Crockett at Vision Church. Pastor Don Barlow at the Rochester Community Baptist Church. How about Pastor Ken Rowe at the Jesus Christ Our Church and then Pastor Sidney Fry at the Church of God in Christ here in Rochester. So thank you, pastors. We thank you for what you've done. Make sure you get out and thank your pastor, Pastor John Skipworth. Thank you for all you do coming for me. Also, right now, October 5th, the Expungement Fair is going on. If you need to know about expungement, get there right now in Minneapolis. You probably have to scoot your way up there if you can get there on time. But if not, we will be covering some expungement things down here in the Rochester area to help you understand how you might be able to get your record expunged and move on with your life. But certainly wanted to note that as that's being led by Minnesota Attorney Keith Ellison. Also, October 30th, Wednesday, we have Dr. Jason Soul coming, which is sponsored by Zumbro Valley, the Minnesota Department of Human Services, and the Diversity Council. He will be presenting on mass incarceration in the age of color blindness, Dr. Jason Soul, and that will be at the public library. So make sure you tune into that. Also, future shows. We want to make sure you know about that. We have various shows coming up. We're all booked and booking. On October 19th, we have Eric Williams from the Olmsted JDC. On November 9th, we have Dr. Jonathan Lopez Jr. from Winona State University. Then on November 16th, we have Regina Mustafa and some of the Somali community coming to talk about Somalis and Muslims in our community on the 16th. Senator Dave Syndrome is also coming on that same day, November 16th. And then November 23rd, we have from the Public Defender Office, Lori Traub. So we got some great shows coming up. Barbershop Talk Minnesota, you need to know, and as you do know, we are a grassroots organization. We started last year. This is our second year of existence. And as you know, this is a grassroots effort, and we're doing this out of the kindness of our heart, but also with intentionality to make sure that we are a voice of the voiceless, to make sure that we're bringing unity within our African American community, to make sure that we're making the whole community better, living up to Paul Wellstone's "We all do better when we all do better." And then also we have a specific passion to thwart the issue of disparities in the criminal justice system and in other areas. So if you're interested in being a part of an organization that is doing diversity, that is on the ground doing diversity, men that have been in this community getting things done for years, minorities working with minorities, diversity making a difference in diverse areas, we want you to come and advertise your organization or business on our medium, as we are here to build this for our community. Also, we're under a nonprofit called Barbershop and Social Services. So if you're interested in donating to us specifically through that venue, you certainly can. We have our online show. We have our periodical. We're going to be doing events throughout the community. So definitely get involved here. If you want to come out and support us, again, we're grassroots. If you have an expertise and want to be a part of what we do, let us know. But again, we are not free. This is something that we have to do with money. So if you want to sponsor us, obviously you can give through our nonprofit. But also, if you just want to promote your organization to the people that we are getting in contact with, the people that we seek to serve, let us know. And with that, you need to know that we're currently brought to you by Greenhouse Graphics. If you know LA, he does great design work. If you need design work done, make sure you contact LA at Greenhouse Graphics.
At Greenhouse Graphics, we offer award-winning design services at affordable rates to help your business attract customers and ultimately affect your bottom line. Working with you one-on-one at whatever stage you're at in developing your brand. I want to help drive success to your business with excellent design and quality marketing materials. From startup companies in need of custom graphics, websites, logos, to seasonal maintenance, I got you covered. I take time and listen and care about your needs. I understand that image and quality mean everything in business when it comes to leaving a lasting impression on your clients and customers that lasts a lifetime. With nearly 2 decades of experience, it is in my DNA to create eye-popping graphics for your business. Greenhouse Graphics, making sure you always look your best.
Barbershop Talk, as you know, in the barbershop, in the beauty shop, we keeps it real. So for our Keep It Real segment today, get ready. We're going to go in deep. If you got comments, let us know. But these are our topics that we're going to cover in our Keep It Real segment. The first one is pay for play. If you didn't know, Monday, the state of California, under the direction of Governor Newsom, he met at LeBron's barbershop show and signed in the Fair Play Act, for college athletes. We're going to get into that. How about this? We talked about that video that came up at the first part of the show. Guess what? After that young man hugged that young lady and she was going off to prison, guess what? The judge backed up what that young man did. She came down and hugged the officer and then gave the officer a Bible. Guess what? That's bringing some controversy of some sort about this judge, that she went over her duty by, one, hugging the officer who's going to prison, and then two, giving her a Bible. So we'll go in deep about that. And then our last topic is, we're going to run through this Rochester gentrification idea again. Since we have Mayor Norton here, we're going to talk about some topics and get in deep about that. So get ready to keep it real. Barbershop Talk, Minnesota. How you doing on a gloomy fall Minnesota Saturday? It's raining. It's a little cold, and that's why we're here. We're here to make you happy. So tune us on. Talk to people. We're here just to help the gloom to get away from your home this morning. So welcome to Barbershop Talk. We're glad you're here. We have the honor of having Mayor Kim Norton, and we'll talk with her in a little bit. But she's jumped into our Keep It 100 segment, and Mayor, just so you know, when we get to our little controversial topics that we talk about, if you feel like jumping in, you can. If you don't, we know you're a politician. You have to kind of, just joking. So we're gonna get into.
Speak your mind, man. Speak your mind.
We're gonna get right into our Keep It Real segment, but we want to welcome our audience to Barbershop Talk. We're great that you're here. Remember, we try to live by Paul Wellstone's saying, we all do better when we all do better. And that's why we're here at Barbershop Talk. So thank you for tuning in. We're going to have some fun here with Mayor Kim Norton, and then with the co-host, Bud Whitehorn, and then the director, Mr. Andre Crockett. I am humbly Donovan Bailey. So, our Keep It Real segment. The first one is pay for play. Gentlemen and Mayor, Monday, California, Governor Newsom, I believe his name is, sat down with LeBron on his national barbershop show, signed the law into order for them that athletes can now get paid for going to college and playing sports. And from what I understand, it's supposed to be like the Olympic model, where athletes can earn their own cash. They can do a commercial, blah, 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 but the NCAA won't pay them. Okay. What do you think about that? And obviously we have the SMA director here, big time sports guy. Do you think that is okay?
Yes.
You do.
I think it's okay, but it won't come into fruition until like 2023 or
yeah, that's right. That's right.
To the NCAA figure out how to do it, because they don't want to lose their eligibility.
Right.
But for a long time, that we understand, if a coach can get $8 million,
that is true.
and if a coach can decide that he can switch colleges, every single year if he wanted to, and the players can't. And the players saying that, before I think a gentleman from Connecticut, 3-4 years ago, they won the national championship. Could have been a little longer than that. And he was talking about how they won a national championship, but he was going to bed hungry, right? And yet the institution's making millions of dollars off of that individual. So it's not even. It's hard to be able to play those many games, do schoolwork and everything. They already professionals. So you almost got to treat them almost like professionals. People say, well, okay, if I go to a Michigan or Duke, maybe the tuition is $40,000 a year. But yet, they make $1 million off of my jersey. So I might as well be an entrepreneur. Say what? I'll pay for my college and play and make the money. Everybody else got a chance to make money, but athletes don't.
I agree with that, but this is my but. All right. Stephen Covey begin with the end in mind, right? Okay. We love college sports. A couple of questions. What is the end of this? I mean, will college become professional sports or minor professional sports? And then does that kill the whole idea of athletes going to college and that whole whatever? And then what about when does it end? We have Winona State University on this side of South Minnesota, Mankato State on that side of South Minnesota. they're not going to get the money that the U of M gets. So what do you think about that? And I agree. The coaches are getting paid. A lot of folks are getting paid. The NCAA is getting paid. So there's lots of money out there. What about that? What if should we just say, hey, why don't we just have a secondary professional leagues, and then we'll go back to college being college?
College won't do that.
That's true.
Because it's too much of a moneymaker, right?
It is.
And I think that they're gonna have to find a way to get those student athletes paid. Somewhere they're gonna have to find a way. Or let them go straight from high school to professional.
That's what they need
Right?
to do.
They're gonna have to do that, right? They're gonna have to do it. Tennis you can do it, baseball you can do it. You know what I'm talking about? Football's a little tougher because of the body and stuff like that. But basketball and stuff like that, they should be able to do it, but they had to do a development league. If you're gonna let college be a true educational system,
right,
let it be.
Right, exactly. Now that's why.
If that's what I say, if you're gonna let it be, but it's not.
It's not.
Right? That football team, Oregon and stuff like that, they provide a lot of income for everybody else. And the athletes, again, the majority African Americans from inner city kids,
right,
who it's hard to go to college on an empty stomach, like I said, right, and then play and bid your academics and be able to do our stuff. We don't consider everything else that comes with it, right? Everybody making money,
making loot. But this is the question: will the NCAA give it up? All that money they're getting, will they give it up so they can be semi-pro?
I think they ain't got a choice on this one.
That's true. You from Chicago, a lot of athletes.
Yeah,
they ain't got nothing on Indianapolis.
This is time overdue. What they supposed to do this years ago.
That's true. All right.
It was time overdue.
Our second topic, and Mayor, you're in leadership. And audience, you'll see this video. Down in Texas, we had the young man getting shot by the female cop. She was convicted of the crime, 10 years in prison. If you saw the video, which we'll show Barbershop Talk, young man on the stand, his brother, passionate plea, forgives the guy that killed his brother, asks the judge, can she go hug him? He goes to hug her. I mean, just emotional, great stuff, right? And I think it's amazing. I guess there's a controversy now because the judge backed him up. The judge got off the bench, went and hugged the young lady, and gave her a Bible. And now there's this uproar. Wait a minute, she crossed lines of church and state and should have lead. I mean, I've never seen a judge do that. But what do you guys think about that?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I think it was wonderful.
I would agree.
I think it was wonderful. I think it was showing God's grace at its finest.
Oh yeah.
To be able to forgive somebody that was his sister?
It was his brother that got killed.
Brother?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I love it. The controversy comes from change. People don't understand. People feel what they don't understand.
Right. I agree. I thought it was great leadership as well. And then I was thinking, okay, what are the rules for a judge? Can they hug? Can they give a Bible? Blah, blah, blah. But I thought it was great as well.
I don't have nothing problem with that if it was balanced. Because I would see her history. If she just did it for that one time, or did she do this multiple times, right? So I'm looking at, I tell people again, I'm a hood, so I keep it hood and I keep it represented and the what people think. People think say because she was a white female from my community that she did it because of that. I don't know. So to balance it out, we have to see have she did this in the past.
That's true.
Or sometimes is she harder on people who look like her than people who don't look like her?
Now that is keeping it 100
so I had to keep it
talk.
balanced, right? I had to keep it balanced because that's what we thinking. We thinking that she sold out and she did this, from what I'm hearing on this side, right? Even though it's grace, but I want to see that she extend that grace to everybody.
Because and what you're saying, there is a racial dynamic.
If she did that for everybody, then it makes sense.
It's all good.
It's all good. If she did it for everybody.
Well, why can't you start here? Why can't you start here?
Well, I think what you're alluding to, let's keep it real, it was a young white female blonde.
Yeah.
And so therefore, the conspiracy theory or the thought is it was much more endearing. But if it was you, Bud, that popped off and killed somebody, right? You ain't getting no hug, or me, or even the mayor, because you got this position, I'm joking. But would the grace and the compassion and all the life be there if it wasn't this precious respectfully speaking, young white female that did this horrible crime?
I think, this controversy takes away from what he did. We put the focus on her.
I love it.
We put the focus on her when he was the person that made the gesture.
That's true.
So I think, I'm looking at it just a little different.
Right. I get that. Okay, our last topic we actually covered with Senator Nelson, and since we have you here, Mayor, the city's going and growing, building and all kinds of things, and we talked to Senator Nelson about how it's growing, and are we, as we grow and become this great city, are we leaving behind the community that we represent? And I would like to spin it this way, and gentlemen, if you want to jump in on a different side of this, as we grow, some 130,000, I think, somewhere around there. What about the entertainment? There's a lot of people that come here, Mayor, and I asked you this before you became mayor, as you were running. They come here for their career, their family, the great city, but they don't feel the entertainment that's here like a major city. We're the third largest city in Rochester. Why don't we have and I know we're growing, so I've got to say that respectfully. It's hard, like within our community, they call it the 5-year plan. You come here, you get mail on your resume, you get your education, then you get out of here in 5 years, and then you look good. How do we keep people here? I guess that's my question. Because I think that's a problem with we're growing, is become this great city, get a great job, great mayor. How do we keep folks here that so they can enjoy the city? Or am I the only one that goes up an hour and a half to go see the Dakota Jazz Club, and I wish it was here? Am I the only one? I guess I'm the only one.
No, I think this issue's been, since I moved here in the early 90s, this issue's come up in conversations with friends of mine, and that there isn't a culture, there isn't a social scene here that feels comfortable that they want, and they do go to the Twin Cities, or, as you're pointing out, come here. In this instance, it was IBM on the resume, and then head back to Indiana, where I feel comfortable, and I know this, I know the city, and so I think it's been an issue that we have, but you can't, cultural music and a cultural art scene, and those all have to be created from the community.
And that's so true, yes.
And so we have to, as a city, be able to, provide venues, but people in the community have to take advantage of the venues that are there. And one of the things that I've been talking about in the last year is, we have parks. They're really cheap. They can be used. Anybody can set up their own little music venue in the parks with very little effort, and almost no money. So, once that starts happening, and then people get drawn to it, and it starts growing, then you find.
I agree, and I truly agree with you when you said even some of our greatest areas that created blues and some music, it was.
It's organic.
It was all organic.
Yeah.
So we need an inner city here, Mayor, where it creates. I'm joking, actually.
No, we don't need inner city, but we need to start having some synergy around music and culture and arts that isn't just what we've been doing for a long time. That's kind of standardized in the community, but new and fun and exciting venues. My ears are still ringing from having attended the Riverside concert last night with Flo, who was from Duluth, and that was certainly something. Something new and different for me. You felt the music. You didn't hear it, you felt it.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
So something new and different. So I think
Well, hopefully we can do that. I know working in St. Paul, and you've been in St. Paul. There's some monies that can, but like you said, you can build it. It needs to be earth from the bottom up.
So whatever we can do in the city to help have venues be more available for people to try out new and different things, bring new music, bring new art.
Well, Barbershop Talk, as you heard, we are privileged to have Mayor Kim Norton here, the first female mayor of Rochester, Minnesota, an amazing politician, and we're thankful that you're here today. Question for you: you've obviously been in politics for a while, doing a lot of great things, from being a senator, I believe it was, or a congressman, representative, and now mayor. Why in the world did you get in politics?
I don't feel like I got in politics. I got into public service. So
that's deep.
As a young mom moving to this town, one of the ways I found because this wasn't my home, one of the ways I found to get involved was to start volunteering, going to schools, getting involved in my kids' activities. And it was through that kind of involvement that I just started branching out and getting involved in different activities, and eventually actually was the campaign manager for Jim Price, his school board campaign. So I did that first and worked on another school board campaign after that, and then thought, why don't I just run for school board?
Oh wow!
And then that sort of one thing led to another over the years. So it wasn't something I set out to do. It was just something that happened because I chose to get involved in my community and make sure that my kids were getting a good education and that they were in schools that were providing a good environment. And I just made it my business to be there.
So you were a former IBMer?
No.
You were in education?
My background is education.
Okay.
I have a special ed, early childhood, human
Oh, wow.
background. So that's where I come from.
Hubby was an IBMer.
No. Randy worked at Mayo.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
Psychiatric social worker.
Oh, wow. So you know our trade. Wow. Husband's a psychiatric social worker. We're going to have to bug you later.
So where are you from originally?
Yeah. So I grew up in Lincoln, Nebraska. We moved there when I was, preschool age, started kindergarten there, and went my whole life there. And I often tell people I was raised not, are you going to college? It was, you're going to college.
Right.
And it wasn't, where are you going to college? It's, you're going down the street. So it was not an option for me.
So you went to the University of Nebraska?
Right, in Lincoln. Yeah,
Ooh, and you were there with some of the classic football days.
I was there through
Especially
the
at
good
the
days.
program back then.
Oh,
back in
It
those
was
days.
a fantastic,
Yeah.
it was a fantastic time to be there, and we had some good ones before I got there, some good football players, and some great ones while I was there as well. So no, that was the environment I grew up in, but very Midwest. The values aren't terribly different than they are here in Minnesota, so it felt very comfortable when I moved here in 1990. But
Since you are you familiar with Lance Phillips?
No.
So he was the running back. Used to be the running back for Nebraska, right back in the early 90s.
So that was when I was being a mom and raising my kids, and I sort of left all that behind.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I was in the days of Johnny Rogers and I Am Hip.
Okay.
And,
So you didn't follow. Only ask that question because
Jared Taggy.
only ask that question because we talk about trauma now, but we didn't talk about trauma in the 90s. But there was already indications that Lance Phillips already had trauma, right? I mean, he just was a good athlete, and they let him get away with a lot of stuff, and then eventually, he committed suicide probably about could have been 9 years ago, 8 years ago. I think he killed somebody, ran over some people on the field or whatever it was, and oftentimes that we don't really talk about athletes and mental health.
Right.
We really don't talk about that, right? When we start to see as the violence manifests itself, like Antonio Brown, and then we look at the behavior is language, right? And so most of those guys, especially come from inner cities, right? What happened is that now you're just seeing that the trauma follow them, right? And it still goes untreated, right?
They're just acting out.
It's acting out, right? And then we just look at them like saying that label them thugs, this and this, but they still is never get treated for their trauma, right? That's why I asked you about Lance Phillips, because I think maybe he was there during his days, and just to see that.
No, I'm much older than that.
Okay. And we'll talk about trauma a little later. Maybe I'll talk to you about that. But we'll just go back and for that.
So Mary, you're the first female mayor of Rochester, Minnesota, and something I noticed, and maybe tell me if I'm wrong. You haven't, and I don't mean this in a negative way. I think it is. You haven't really championed that, and it seems as though. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're taking, hey, I'm the mayor. If I'm female, and black, white, whatever, I'm here to get things done, and then I'm not really going to flash that achievement. But is that true?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't run for mayor because I was female, and in fact, that hadn't even really crossed my mind. I was just running for mayor because I thought I had something to offer as someone with some experience on the school board and in the legislature. And I've been fortunate to have that Bush Foundation fellowship that I utilized, and so I thought, well, I can bring all that back to bear here in my community. So it was about taking the skill set I have and making it of use in my community. So I didn't do it because I was a woman, and so it probably surprised me a little bit more about that first being raised up as to a little, more important than I had given it credit for. But since that time, it has become very aware to me that it is very meaningful to young people in this community, to women in this community, and so I'm proud of it. It's not that I'm not proud of the accomplishment, but it just wasn't in my thinking as I ran. It's sort of an after the fact kind of thing, and now of course I feel this extra sense of responsibility that I have to do better. I have to be better. I have this expectation that I'm going to have to fulfill. So it weighs a little heavier on me.
Well, at least
I'm sorry. Well, that's kind of what I wanted to get to. Because of your passion and some of the things that you're good at, you've been heavily accessible to a lot of different people. People coming into your office. I don't know if I ever seen a mayor to really engage with the people like you have.
It's busy in my office.
It's very busy. I've been there a couple of times myself.
You bet.
And I guess mostly with the homeless.
Yeah.
You've been taking on a lot with that. You want to talk about that?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, sure. I mean, it was not on my radar when I ran for office. I had my kind of 4 pillars that I was running on, and had really expected, if I won, to be able to start, working on those 4 items. Well, it became very clear about 2 weeks after the election into my service as mayor that I was walking downtown, and there are homeless people sleeping in our skyways, and I just could not ignore that. And so I got to know some of the men and women that are homeless over the last 8 or 9 months. We've worked with social services, we've worked with nonprofits to try to see how can we help these individuals be able to live a life of dignity with housing and food and care and not have to be in the skyways. We're still moving down that path. We want to make sure that if we do any changes in ordinances, which I think you may have heard, we're talking about this next week, taking a vote on whether the skyways will be closed. And actually, we have hours for skyways, we just haven't enforced them. So I think what we'll be doing is posting and enforcing those hours, but we didn't want to do it until we had a place for people to go. And so that's been the work over the last 8 months, is how do we make the change so that people are able to lead lives of dignity and feel a sense of self-worth, and you can't do that when you're laying in a hall and people are dropping quarters or giving you food or coffee that they picked up. You deserve better than that. So it's supporting our community in keeping it running well and not hurting the businesses or whatever, but also having a really safe place for people to live.
Absolutely.
So I think the warming center opens in about a month. So
Okay.
great. That is one step.
Is that the old subway building?
Right next to the subway building, there's a strip mall over there, and the last, on the right side, the last business is being remodeled right now. And we'll have, I received this wonderful, generous donation from one of the universities, a private college up in the Twin Cities, who happened to hear an interview I did on NPR about this subject. And they called and said, we have, it's like 60 beds, would you like them?
Oh, nice.
And so I worked with social services, and we went up, and so we have beds with real mattresses and sheets that we can offer to people. You don't have to be on the floor. I was just thrilled about this. We couldn't take the dressers, there just isn't room for them, but they offered us dressers as well, which was really wonderful.
That's nice.
So that'll open up for 30 to 35 people. We may need more room than that, and we also need some place for people to go during the day. And so the work is not done.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you you tackle that. I was a teen in transition. Talking about, so I was almost on my own since I was 13 years old. Some by choice and some other bad choices, but I didn't get a box spring, sleep on a box spring until I was a senior in high school. That's a long time. I actually just slept on the floor on a mattress. You know what I'm talking about? And
a single mattress.
Yes, just a single mattress. To be able to do it. So I commend you for doing that. But I noticed that I was at one of y'all last meetings. I was sitting all the way in the back, and you brought down a gentleman from Catholic Charities, right? And, yes, and I think you did. What they're doing I think it's a wonderful job. But a question was brought up by a young lady, African-American lady, and talks about the percentage of homelessness that's African-American, right? Or just people of color. Those disparities are really high. And what I noticed that even he talked about it a little bit, what they're going to say a little bit, but as if he didn't tackle that issue. So we know the fastest growing homeless population of people of color in the state of Minnesota.
Yeah, that could be statewide. I would say locally, I haven't seen that disproportionate number locally, but what I have seen that's disproportionate is suddenly women. That's been a shock to me. The last, as I said, I have an open door policy in the office, and the last 3 people that have come in that are homeless, well, except for one that we just talked about the other day, the 3 of the last 4 have been women who are coming to tell me their stories. Certainly there's a mix, but it doesn't seem to be disproportionate. In Rochester, I think the Twin Cities, that's different, and we want to make sure that doesn't happen in Rochester.
Yeah, but when we look at even when it was building empowerment, right? Over there at Gage East Apartments, right? And so one of the things they did to get the money and stuff, they was talking about the number of kids of color that was homeless. Kids of color was homelessness, right?
Yeah.
And you'll probably see the demographic different here than there because of the men is not on the scene. Right, so single parents, right? So the men's not in the scene because the men is incarcerated. But if the men wasn't incarcerated and the problem they come here, then the whole family, because of their criminal record, they can't get a home and they kicked out. So most likely that you see them. The reason why you don't see that in Rochester hardly no more because now they're going to like Winona, Owatonna, and outskirts. And so now you'll see probably more females. You're right. You'll see probably more females here. Then you experience probably in other places, but they've been kicked out of Rochester. So it's really changing. It's really changing. And I think that's what we have to really look at is that how do we now get those dads back involved with those kids. Because that's going to really help. I like the idea that you're going to empower the female and the kid, but that kid need that dad back in the home, right? And we know statistics and we know research behind that, especially if it's a girl, she might get pregnant something around 12 or 13 years old, that boy leads to incarceration and stuff like that as well. But overall, I commend you once again, for, taking a stance and, saying, okay, everybody deserves opportunity to have a shelter over their head.
So is there going to be, I have a friend in Wisconsin who's running more of a holistic homeless shelter, Brother Mike Etheridge. Is the shelter going to be more holistic? And I know you work obviously with Emerald Valley, and I'm ignorant of the homeless. When you say warming shelter, what does that mean? Just to have a shelter or?
Yeah, so as I understand it, and it's still in the works right now, Catholic Charities will be running it. This is a county-run program, even though I was the one kicking up some dust. It was the county who really provides the services for the most part in the community, and it was the county who wanted to, have control over the services. So the city kicked in money for renovation of the building, as well as, I don't know exactly how it worked out, but also for ongoing services. So it will be open in the evening. I don't know the exact hours, but it will open, say, at 7 or 8 or 9 at night, and it will close at 7 or 8 in the morning. Yeah. So it's that. So when we say warming shelter, Tim Marks suggested we call it an opportunity center instead. But this is a place for people to go to have. They can have their clothes washed. They can have a shower. They can have a good night's sleep on a warm bed. But it's not their home. It is a safe shelter. I'm very concerned with when the doors open in the morning, where do we have to go to continue to get have service access? So I've been told by one of the county board members that they are going to have service providers there, even though it's going to be in the evening, that there will be somebody there to help connect and make sure people are in the system, if you will, and have signed up and are getting the support that they need. I hope we can find someplace during the day so that support can continue.
Right.
And the whole idea being that we rapidly house people that are found, so it doesn't have to be the same people there night after night after night, that you're there for a couple nights, we can find a place to permanently move you, and then there's room for someone else if the need be. It's not meant to be a long-term solution.
Right.
It's meant to be a safe, short-term solution until we can put that long-term solution in place.
I'll play devil's advocate here. Have you got any complaints as to where it's going to be, given it's downtown, all the professionals, all this growth, and the attraction of what downtown is becoming?
We've gotten complaints about the people living in the Skyways and the Galleria.
Yeah.
People will be relieved that that's not the case. But there was a debate, and I said this, earlier, there's a debate about whether services really need to be, a warming shelter really needs to be right downtown. And, I'm not certain that it needs to be. Our homeless are some of the most resilient, resourceful people
no doubt
I've
about
ever
that.
met.
Really are.
They can get
No doubt about it.
anywhere, they can get, and the one thing I did hear, which I found fascinating, is there's not a problem finding food in this community. That we are very
That is true.
generous with food.
That is true.
And, the people that have been coming in are telling me how, because we've been thinking about, do we need to have more access to the fresh fruits and vegetables for people, so you're not always eating pizza or, packaged food that's dropped off, or restaurant food, can you get fresh fruit? So we've been working on that within some of the subcommittee work that just community members are volunteering to do.
That's
which
good.
is really
That's
cool.
good. I know that's got a lot of buzz. Thank you for taking that on, because it's a huge issue. And
Thank you.
as I tell people in my profession, at least, my clientele, that not only did they come here, they're going to stay here. This is home. Rochester is now, Chicago, Indiana, where I'm from, LA, wherever they're from. Now Rochester's home, so we need those services to back up and help out.
And we want people to feel like this is home, and so, how do we do that? And it's not simple, and it's gonna take all of us working together, to fill the gaps and to make, as you said, have a sense of culture and place here that's for them as well, so.
One more question about
Working
that. I know they talked about, a few months back about the old firehouse being.
Yeah.
I did hear about that. I heard about that as well.
What's going on with that?
Well, that was my initial push, was to have that be a warming shelter, and it could perhaps even stay open longer during the day and be a place to provide services. The neighbors, kicked up a little bit of a fuss with that.
Really?
Some of the area businesses. It would have taken hundreds of $1,000s to fix that up. Some of the other places they could do for less money. So financially, that's where the county finally said, let's take the cheaper option. Because we don't want this to be a long-term solution, and there are a lot of people in town who really want that old fire station. I wanted it because it was larger. It could house more people. I'm concerned that we don't have enough room in this new, but we'll deal with that.
What about the old Lord's High School? I heard that come up.
Let me tell you.
Sacred ground now. Don't mess with that.
It is.
Hey, we gotta
it was
talk
my
about it.
first phone call.
Yeah.
It was my first phone. Mayo Clinic owns that, and
Not gonna happen.
and it's not going to happen. No, they have other ideas. One of the other things I was looking for is once we get people in a nighttime shelter so they're safe, we need to find them housing.
Yeah.
So I was looking at what about tiny homes? What about mobile homes? What about apartments? So looking at all those things, and I found a little swath of land that Senator Centrum told me about this, that's owned by a local company, that maybe it was an old, it held modular homes or mobile homes or trailers, whatever you call them before, but what if you put 2 smaller homes on those and had, the pads, because they're set up for electricity and all that. And so, of course, I started digging around, and we found the owner, and it's leased by Mayo Clinic.
Yeah.
So I can't get my hands on that here. So, there's so much growth and activity happening in the community right now that it really is hard. I've been asking questions about, the Kmart building, of course, came up, and that's now gonna be
Somebody
parking.
bought it though, didn't they?
Apparently parking, that's gonna
Somebody
be
bought it.
parking for Mayo Clinic.
Yeah.
But what
That
about-
was them that bought it?
What about, no, they didn't buy it, they were leasing it, a short-term tenure maybe is what they're talking about. But what about the Toys R Us area and, Ranger Square? Well, somebody outside the community owns that land, and so it's not freed up for us to use.
Old
but
money.
I know, it's so frustrating, it's like, every time you find an idea, what about Chaco North, what about? And we looked into this.
I don't think that they all should be in one place.
Right.
That's what what I was.
Well, and as we've talked about, building
Sure.
apartments and affordable housing, do we want a Cedar Riverside structure that is all low income, or do we want housing around the whole community that has places for workforce, places for low income, places for
That
market
would
rate,
be, yeah.
everywhere, so that
Everywhere.
we're all
You
together.
have to,